Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative, and I'm going to do something a little different today. This mold is one that I've used recently, and one of the things I don't like about this mold is the fact that the back is open, and if you put any pressure on this, it goes down. So technically when you're putting your resin in or whatever you're going to be using, it's sort of going into the center because it's got nothing to support it. I thought to myself, what would happen? And to me, the obvious answer is it's pretty clear what's going to happen. What if I put some silicone in the back of this just to give it some more stability so that when you're pouring your resin in or whatever product you're putting in it, you don't get that? Because if you're, and I understand that the resin isn't very heavy and your pieces aren't very big, so it's not like you're doing something massive and you've got a concern here. But having said that anyway, like you still got quite a bit of give there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some of my Alumilite because it cures really quickly. And, you know, I don't know whether I'm going to fill up the whole thing or whether I'm just going to fill up part of it. And I still think, and as I'm, sort of talking through this, I think the best bet would be to fill it right to the top, because then again, I'm not going to have, like if I don't do it right to the top, I'm feeling like I'm going to still have some give in it. Maybe not a lot, and maybe we can test that out, like do part of it and see how it feels, and then if we need to, do the rest. I'm going to do some calculations on the computer under the Alumilite website, because they have a calculator for resin and for silicone, how much you would need for something this size. So I'm going to go and figure that out. I'm going to measure out how much I need, and then we're going to pour this, and we're going to see how much of a difference it makes. I like the idea that of having something that's solid, and then if you're working with the piece and you're poking at it, it's not bouncing around. I have the mold that I did the skull in. I mean, this is a solid mold, and I have no concerns about it. I can put some pressure on it and it's not going to, indent, and then, maybe I get too much of something in it, unless you saw the video where things went a little awry for me when I was using my 10-minute cure resin. But that's another story. I have to go back and watch the video. But this is one of those pieces that I really think it would have been a huge improvement by the company if it wasn't this bouncy. Anyway, I'm going to go off and find out how much of this I'm going to need. Then we're going to come back and pour this. And I think the other thing I'm going to like about that too is because this turns red, it'll probably be easier to see the parts of these pieces. Anyways, I'll be back. I have my silicone measured out. When I did the calculations on the computer, it came up with about 110 mils to fill this up, and that wasn't taking into consideration that I have these parts that are sticking up underneath the bottom. So for example, the wings, the key, and this one wheel or gear, whatever you want to call it. So I am mixing up 60 initially to see how far I go. I don't want to make too much of this. We'll see how far the 60 takes us, and then we can let it set, and then we can have a look to see if more is needed. Now I do have a fleck of something in that. I don't want that on this side. I don't want any flecks if I can avoid them, because then I'm going to be looking at the mold and trying to use it and thinking I've got something in the mold when in fact I do not. I know there's some things on the other side of this, but I really don't want anything on this side. So quickly do that. We will pour our white into our red, and then we'll mix it up, and then we'll pour it and see where we land. I thought of doing 80, and then it was like, I don't know. I figure if I've got that feeling that I'm going to be making too much as I do not like making up more, I just don't want to waste it because I have nothing else I need to make right now. I have something I might make another time, but right now, until I get pieces poured, I can't do that. So we'll see what we can, how far we get, or hopefully we'll be really close. And who knows, like by doing this, we may not need to fill it. It may be enough to do what I'm wanting to do so that it's not sinking in the middle. And have any of you done this before, where you filled up the back of a mold in order to make it more secure, more firm? This is the first time I've ever done this, but I've worked with this mold before and had that issue, but it never occurred to me, hey, why don't you pour some silicone in there and make it more stable? Because I think it will help with the making of the pieces if it is more stable. And then if this does work, if I have other molds around that are similar, I can do the same thing. So we'll just mix this up again. This Alumilite, you don't have a lot of time to work with it. And the beautiful thing is it sets so quickly, which is something I really, really like. Now, I did want to mention, while I was on the website for Alumilite, some of you have seen where I did a video on the Alumilite and their eco-casting ceramic resin. And one of the things I thought to myself, and I actually reached out to the company about having a kit that is just the product, without the molds, without the colorants. And lo and behold, on their website now, they do have a refill kit that is just the ceramic resin product. It's not, it doesn't have molds in it from what I can tell, and it doesn't have any colorants in it from what I can tell. So I thought that's brilliant. Now I'm just going to wait for it to show up at Michael's, because I was in there and I looked at it and I thought, but I don't want your full kit because I don't need it. And they may very well have had that on their plans. And it was just at the time when I reached out to them that they said, you know, we don't have it, or it's not on, you know, the books to do it. But I thought to myself, I don't know why you wouldn't come out with a refill kit, because it really doesn't make sense for someone like myself. I've already got your colors and I've got your molds. I don't need more of that. So I just thought I'd share that with you. And yeah. I'm hoping it comes to Michael's. So we're going to pour this slowly. I'm going to work at getting this in and around the pieces where it's not, like there's no piece. I know. You know what I'm saying here. You get how the ball bounces with me, right? I forget words. But yeah, I just want to get this into where there's no pieces to do that first, and then we'll do the rest. Like I say, this may be enough to get it so it's solid enough that you wouldn't have to, you know, it's going to support it. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down the edges of this. I think this is pretty much going to have been enough. I think I'm really glad I did not make 80. I'm definitely glad I did not make 110 mils of this. I'm really glad of that. And I don't think we're going to need more. I think this will make it solid enough, because this is a pretty solid silicone. A lot less. It's not as pliable, let me do it that way. It's not as pliable as the Let's resin is. And it's kind of interesting because I noticed on Amazon, when I was ordering more silicone from Let's resin for my skull, I noticed that they had different numbers. Now, I don't know, I'm guessing the higher the number, the more rigid the silicone comes out. And I hadn't really paid attention to that before, because I know they've got a clear, they've got a blue, they've got their green. So I'm just wondering if their number is meaning, okay, I think the green is I want to say an A10. And then the blue was, I think, a 30. Don't quote me on that, but I think a 30. And I just thought, oh, maybe that's just in reference to how pliable or not the silicone is after it's set. Yeah, so there's just a couple of little air bubbles, but of course we don't care here, do we? Because it's just going to set up, and I am so grateful that I did not make more of this. I'm just going to bounce it up and down a little bit because I can. This was just enough. Whew. Good thing I went with my instinct on this, because that would have been, yeah, like I said, I had nothing else to do as far as the to set. Yeah, I had nothing. Yeah, so I'm probably going to get a few air bubbles. I don't even know why I'm bothering. Do you know why I'm bothering? Because it's part of the process of what we normally do, correct? Correct. Anyway, okay, we're going to let that sit. And then once it's done, we'll have a look at the other side, and maybe we'll pour a couple of, get my 10-minute polyurethane on board, or I might mix up a little bit of mixed mold and do the wings and maybe the key that's in there, because we've got the gears. I don't think that's my best plan, but I have the big key and I have the wings, and then I'd be able to take them out probably, within the hour set. So I will be back once this is set. Once this has set, and we will go from there. See you in a bit. Welcome back, people. Okay, this has had enough time to set. It has been sitting for about half an hour, 45 minutes now, and it's firm. Okay, that's not going anywhere now. I am, again, as I mentioned, I am so glad I only did 60 mils of this stuff, because oh my gosh, if I'd done more, that would have been, it was like, what am I going to do with this? Anyway, perfect amount here. I just want to bring my light down a little bit to highlight this. So this is, it's still got a little bit of give. I will give it that has a little bit of give. But I think it's going to be a lot easier to work with now than when it was before, and especially for some of these smaller ones, because as you could see, it was pushing in. Now, after I did this, and just before I started my video up again, I thought to myself, the company that made these, it's a company that deals with UV resin, and I can't think of the name of them. They're at Michael's. And this is clear because you put UV resin and you put it under the light and it cures it. So I got thinking about the fact that, well, Natalie, you've now got a solid background in there. How is it going to work from a curing perspective if you put UV resin in it? Well, we're going to find that out. We're also going to take out a couple of pieces I had left over. I did my little flowers here. These are molds that I got at a garage sale. The person that was having it actually let me know that she had some stuff that she was selling that was art related, resin related. And I went down and I picked up some stuff, and I did very well. For what I got, I did very well. Anyways, these were 3 of the molds. They're flower molds, and these are ones that I want to potentially make another set of, so that I have a set, because I'm kind of thinking, depending on the size of them, I'm thinking earrings if they're not too big. Anyways, we'll get to those in a moment. Let's focus here. I have Let's Resin Blue here, and I have GelMoment is a company that sells stuff for nails. If I'm not mistaken, they are also selling teas now. I don't quite get the connection, but I'm finding, and I don't know if you are, but I'm finding a lot more companies nowadays, they're trying to get into every market. And I found it a little odd with GelMoment that they had teas. But I guess if you're doing your nails and you want a cup of tea, then, hey, great. I do my nails, I have a glass of wine. To each is his own, right? Anyway, this stuff, and it's in these flower pieces I did as well. I used 3 colors. But what I want to do is I want to take this blue and I want to put it in the wing area before I put the UV resin on. again, I'm kind of looking at it from the fact I put the red, excuse me, silicone. So I'm just curious how well it's going to cure. And it may be one of those things that we have to, you know, we'll cure it as best we can. We know Let's Resin cures well. And maybe all we're going to need to do is, you know, once we think we have a good cure, is then take it out, flip them over, and cure them some more. So let me just do a little bit of this. This stuff is so pretty. I have occasionally used it on my nails, but it's funny. I started buying from GelMoment. 2 reasons. I have someone I know who is a rep for them, and I bought it for my art. As much, like, I don't do my nails very often, and I really need to because I have product here for them. I just haven't. And yeah, I got these chrome colors because it's like, oh, I can use these in my resin. So I don't know how many of you out there are doing the same type of thing where you've bought nail art supplies and, you know, you may not be doing your nails, but you're definitely getting use out of it with your artwork. It's great when you can intermix things, but I have to admit, the last time I did my nails up was for vacation. And like I say, I have the supplies, and there's different things I could be trying out, even with my resin, that I haven't yet. But hey, I can't do it all. Like, it's so funny because I think to myself every day, there's so many things I would like to get done or should do or feel I should do. And then it's like, but I don't have time. There's the list, the to-do list is quite long and extensive. Anyway, so let's get this in here. Again, I should have laid this on its side. I know better. I know better. And it's just like my Lazy Susan. It's in the other room. And I really should have it over here. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit. I was going to do the polyurethane, but I thought, I have the UV resin. I might as well use it, right? Now I'm just gonna put a little bit in here and just sort of get it going and let it sort of run into its, you know, some of the areas, and then we'll top it up. And I'm probably gonna do a couple of layers of this just because I do want it to set. And I'd like not to waste this because I might, you know, I'm thinking I could make these into earrings. So I don't want to waste this. I know my Light Wish video I did, you know, I wasted it, and I'm okay with that because it was really more, you know, I'm trying to get rid of these air bubbles. It was more of a let's test this out video. So, you know, that's what we were doing. We were testing it out. And I haven't done any sort of proper pieces with it yet, and that's okay. I will get there when I get there. Could be another video, could be just something I do on the fly. Okay, I just want to make sure if I have any air bubbles that they go away. And these wings, you got to be careful because they will get air bubbles in them because of how it's made, how the mold's made. But we know that with most, right? Like if you've got intricate pieces like this, you have to be careful of that. And I know I had mentioned I might have done the mix to mold in this, but I just thought, nah, let's do the UV resin so I can see how this is going to work out because of the fact that our base is now red instead of just clear. And it could be fine. Again, if we do it in layers and we do it slowly and we, you know, let it set properly, then maybe we'll be fine. And it won't be a big deal. Now if we do it in layers and we do it carefully, that down, and get this, I just at least want to get the first layer where it needs to be, into all the crevices to the best of my ability. Yeah, this this is, I gotta, okay, I have to put more in that one. As we know, resin goes where it wants to go, and sometimes it goes where we don't want it to go, and other times it's like, can you just go over there for me? Okay. Need to drop some more in. I've got a couple of spots. Oh, I can also see air bubbles. Yeah, I almost wish I had one of the, oh, darn it. One of those small bottles that has the needle in it to push this out. Because I'm not getting it, and then I get all kinds of air bubbles, and it's like, come on. Oh, too funny. But it'll be a good experiment. I like that, you know what, even if it doesn't work quite as well as it would have without the red in it, I'm glad I've done this just so it makes it more, it doesn't, you know, go down into the center. I don't necessarily think that, you know, was helpful. It's not like, and I have to say, I don't use this mold all the time. It's not my, you know, go-to mold for everything. So, I mean, there's that to think about too. Perhaps if I were using it all the time, I might have seen about getting a clear silicone, but I used what I had. Okay, let's let this sit just for a moment or two. I'll get rid of those air bubbles. And I'll let this settle down. And I use my long neck lighter on the UV resin. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I do it because I want to get rid of the bubbles, and I figure, well, it's a resin, so we should be okay, right? And I don't know if that's a good thing or not to use it for that, but I do. So again, I always suggest you know, manufacturers guidelines, but I would like to think, because this is truly a resin, that regardless of whether it's UV or not, that it's fine. If I am incorrect, you can comment below and let me know. Okay, let me just get rid of that one air bubble over there, because I really don't want any. They may not show up because, but if it's on the, I got a big one right there, I can see it. I go. It's almost like you get rid of it and then it shows right back up again. There we go. All right, let's, yeah, as I say, let's do it, and then I go, oh, I got another air bubble. At least I got really decent glasses for letting me know when I have. Let's just turn, I think I still have an air bubble down there. I do too. And maybe the mold itself, you know that? Okay. I'm gonna let them go so I don't spend too much time on this. Again, like I always do, I am going to hold this above. We'll do 60 seconds and carry on from there. But I thought this was kind of a cool idea, and then I got thinking, so these molds that I've got here, I don't know about you, I have other molds that are like this that are sort of scattered around, and I think to myself, like, you want to go find, do you know, I guess, and I'm going to be admitting, I have a lot of molds, and every once in a while I sort through them, get them into like Christmas, Halloween, hearts, just odd shape pieces. And I think of some of these small ones, and now that I've done this silicone base with this piece, I kind of wonder, should I be, and would it be worth my while to take some of these small molds and put them together, group them with silicone around them, just so that I'm going to do another 60 seconds. have them all together, and then I'm not looking for them. The only thing I think could be a bit of a drawback with that is trying to get them out of the molds. However, because, I mean, you have something like this and it's easy peasy, right? You just got this small little piece versus, even if you look at this, I've got, well, forgetting that piece, but I've got 5 pieces in here to work with. Is it, and does it make sense to do something like that? Something I might consider if I go through them and take them out and go, wow, you've got this whole bunch and, you know, let's put them together. But I don't know. I don't know. But I definitely, the one thing I do know, I need a really decent shelf unit so I can get my molds off the floor. They're in boxes. They're all in boxes. But get them, the boxes, onto a shelf unit. And someday I hope to be able to do that. Okay, so let's just test this. Okay, that's hard. That's hard, that's set. So let's add some more resin and we'll set it some more. Looking good, looking good. And maybe, I won't say we'll get most of it in, but let's see what we do. And I really hope this doesn't shrink too much. Like, I know I've noticed that with UV resin, that it can shrink when you're doing something like this. So I want to be, if I'm going to put this kind of effort into it, I want to make sure that it's not shrinking. Too much. Well, how do you avoid that though, right? It gets so warm. But the nice thing is that this stuff is, the transparency of this stuff makes that probably a good thing, right? That it, but I don't even know if regular resin has a, you know, sort of a tendency to shrink a little bit. But anyway, enough about resins and whether they shrink or don't shrink, right? Oh, felt like I hit a bubble. And I think that's the other thing too. I struggle. I don't know whether anyone else does, but I just, when it sets, I always find it has a bit of a curve in it. And again, you just keep building it up. And that should get rid of that. I just find that interesting too. But anyway, hopefully these will set up the way I want. I might put just a little bit more resin in here just to sort of fill it up, and then we'll get rid of like air bubbles like that. And that little one there. And I got one there. It almost felt like I had an air bubble that was coming up because there was a spot I might have missed in the first layer. So let's just do a little bit more. Actually, let's get rid of these air bubbles and then I'm excited to see how these come out. Now, the other thing I could do with these is I could take them outside and let them sit in the sun. Because as I've said before, I think the sun is the best for setting UV resin. And that's my personal opinion. Others may disagree with me on that, but I just find that the sun, now I guess too, depending on what part of the world you live in, that's, you know, you may not get sunny days like I get here in Canada, but I just, if I can take advantage of the sun, I most definitely do. I most definitely do. Okay, so we're going to let this just sit and set. And while that's happening, because I just think it should set, and then I think I've got just level on both sides. And you'll notice I'm not wearing a glove on this hand, and I'm okay with that because this hand isn't doing much of anything except holding the light. So I'm not concerned about my hands. I will, like if I'm doing something bigger and I'm using UV resin, I most definitely have my gloved hands for sure, for sure, for sure. Okay, I'm just going to put that over there, and then we'll torch it one more time. While we're sort of waiting for that to set a little bit, let's take these pieces out. Even though you didn't see me pour in what I did. Okay, oh, look at that. Look at that. It's not going to show up as nicely as it would on a block, eh? It's got a few rough edges, but I can fix that. So I used more of my chrome colors that I had gotten from GelMoment. And I also put an iridescent on the leaves before I poured in the polyurethane so we could get a bit of a shine. And I just want to see if I angle this a little bit for you. If you can see that shine on there, hopefully. Hopefully you can. I can't tell if you can see it from where I'm sitting, but hopefully you can see it. So that's one. This one I did blue. Again, the iridescent on the outside leaves. And then the chrome color in the middle. Well, they're all chromes, but the middle I decided to make some color. And I decided to do them all different because I can. Ah, that's pretty. Okay. These turned out nicely. Got a couple of air bubbles in them. But that's, again, that's okay. Not all petal leaves are perfect. So we'll just set these on here like this. So you can see all three of them together. I would like to try and get them perfect because if I'm going to recast them, I need to have them as close to perfect as possible. Because I have no idea where the person got these from. And then we'll take out my skeleton because I made way too much of this stuff. Good on me for knowing that. We're going to get this going while that is, and I guess I should hold it up. So let me just quick lighter. And then let's get this going. And we'll hold it up there. So you'll have to wait to see. Well, the skeleton, I kind of messed. I didn't have enough of the polyurethane. I didn't want to put any more on it. So we'll take it out and see how it looks. I threw a drop of purple alcohol ink in it. And it was slowly, it was actually getting to the point where it was going to set. So it may just look like a blob, but who knows. On this side, it looks like a blob. I don't know what the other side's going to look like. Again, it's one of those, what do I put and do I want to throw anything in it? And I start throwing things in it. It doesn't always work out for me. But that's, again, that's okay. It's all part of the process of what we do. So once the 60 seconds is up, okay, I am going to set that like that, and I'm going to do it for 120 while we take this piece out. And I definitely need to clean this mold. There's so much sparkle on here. It actually looks pretty good. Kind of messed up. I guess there were some sparkles and whatnot left in. Don't you love that? I don't mind it. I've been having a lot of fun. I don't know if I have showed you already. So I'm going to show you again if you haven't seen the two I've already done that I absolutely love how they've turned out. Again, I used polyurethane to do these. So I might have shown you these two already. But if you haven't seen them, those are two I've done so far. And the red and the yellow that's on these, and a little bit of silver, is the PBO. They're not, are they paints? They're liquids of some sort. I can't tell you what they are right now, but I'm loving what they're doing to the pieces I'm making. So if you've seen them before, you get to see them again. If you haven't seen them, this is how the full piece is looking. I almost should be making notes on this, what you've seen, what you haven't seen. But I can still work with that. For sure I can work with that. It's got enough detail in there. But I love that. Oh well, my mold should be pretty clean by now. I haven't cleaned that up, so that's all on me. And let me know if you think these would make cool earrings or if they might be too big. I know some people like small earrings. I like bold, so if I can, I might see if I can pull these off as earrings. They might be a little heavy, but I'm willing to give it a go. Okay, let me put my gloves on just in case any of that has not set, because I want to. Okay, that's very carefully. So I'm getting them out easy enough, even though I've got the red silicone in that. Okay, they left some of the chrome color in. And the other reason I would use my gloves regardless on this is the fact that I don't want to get my fingerprints on these. So I do have air bubbles in and amongst this, which I totally get, because it's such an intricate piece. And I think one of them I totally, oops, Natalie. Okay, put them down, cure this side. It looks like I have, but I might just use UV resin just to fill in. I have done that on some of my other pieces, and if you don't know where the air bubbles have been, sometimes it's really hard to tell that it's been filled in with UV resin. But I might have to do that on these guys. I'm definitely going to put these guys out in the sun. But we'll have a look at them once they've had their 2 minutes. I am definitely going to be cleaning these molds up really well before I use them again. And it might be worth my while to make up 2-part epoxy to make the flowers, to see if I can't get a better job and not as many air bubbles. But I definitely have to clean up my molds before I do anything else. And I think this was a cool idea. I definitely have to clean that one up. Wouldn't you agree? But I like this. It's more solid now. And as much as it may not be the best to use for UV resin, I think it'll be easier even using 2-part epoxy to, maneuver and get things in without it going down in the center. So I'm glad I've done that. And who knows, I know I have others over there that might need it, but I think it depends on the thickness of the mold itself. Depending on how they've manufactured it, you wouldn't have to do this, but I found this one in particular, it just had too much give in the center of it. Okay, so hopefully our 2 minutes is almost up. And we'll be able to see these. And I'll have this on, and we'll just see how much we missed from it. Like from a distance, you're never going to see the air bubbles. But again, as much as I'm trying not to get everything perfect, there are certain things that still drive me nuts. I am a little particular. So let me look. Yeah, there's a couple of spots that it's really obvious that the UV resin didn't get. And whether it's air bubbles or just didn't get in, but I have one spot here and then a spot here. Like I have spots that I am going to see about putting very carefully some UV resin just to fill them up. But I think they'd make cute little earrings. And you could maybe even put something else with them. I don't know if you'd want to or not. This one, yeah, it's got lots of little ones. And I know people have put sprayed alcohol in their molds. I might do that. I might make another pair and do that. Because I don't know. I don't like spraying alcohol in my molds. However, if spraying it might help to alleviate some of these bubbles and me having to do it again, it might be worthwhile. I think you have to be careful when you're putting alcohol on these because it'll dry them out. And I'm also worried about losing shine because of that. And I think the other thing I would be thoughtful of is if you spray it with alcohol, then you either have to put your colorant, like I'd have to put the chrome on first and then spray it, but then it might, you know, give me lines in it. Yeah. Maybe if you're just doing resin and you're not putting anything on it before, you don't have to worry about that. But otherwise, yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please comment below if there's any tips and tricks you have for me or the others. I hope you're having a great day, whatever it is you're getting up to. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber if you are. If you're not and you like my videos, please subscribe. And I love reading the comments, so thank you very much for those. Have a great day. Take care, and bye for now.